Hello class and welcome to chapter 22 of physics. And in this chapter, we're going to talk about electromagnetism. We're going to look into how electricity and magnetism are related with each other. So in part 1, we're going to look at magnetic fields that are produced due to straight wires. These are the learning objectives, so let's start. So a strange phenomenon occurs when an electric current moves through a conducting wire. Scientists found that a magnetic field is created. So here I found a YouTube video showing an experiment that proves this. This is a YouTube video from the account named Electric and Magnetic Fields. So let's watch this YouTube video.
I have a piece of plastic through which I've drilled a hole, and then I took a wire and looped it through the hole 10 times. So I have 10 strands of the wire here flowing through this hole. So if I have 1 amp of current flowing in the wire, I will have essentially 10 amps that's flowing in a straight line through the hole in the plastic. I'm now going to sprinkle some iron filings onto the plastic. I will now apply a current, and I will have to tap the plastic to get the iron filings to move. And you can see how the iron filings have rotated to form circles around the wire, indicating the form of the magnetic field intensity generated by a current-carrying wire.
So as you saw from the video, you can see that there is a pattern forming by the iron filings. And this pattern proves that there is magnetic field around this wire. You can also do this experiment using plotting compasses like shown in this picture here. So you can use plotting compasses or iron filings to view the shape of the magnetic field formed by the current that is inside the wire. So the magnetic field formed by the current inside the wire looks like this. It's a radial type of magnetic field, and we can find the direction of the magnetic field using what we call the right hand grip rule. So basically, you take your right hand, your thumb will show you the direction of the current, and your 4 fingers will show you the direction of the magnetic field. If shown in this picture here, you can see the thumb is pointing upwards, and so is the current. The other 4 fingers are showing in that direction, and that's also the direction of the magnetic field. So you can use your right hand grip rule to tell you where is the direction of the current and where is the direction of the magnetic field. Now, one thing to note that in the previous lesson, you also learned a similar rule. In the previous lesson, we call that the right hand thumb rule. But this time, this is the right hand grip rule. So these two are different. So what's the difference, you might ask? So the right hand thumb rule that you learned in the previous lesson, so this is the rule for the previous lesson. This is used for the solenoids, and the thumb shows you the direction of the magnetic field. In other words, it tells you where the north pole is, and your 4 fingers tell you the direction of the current. Whereas the right hand grip rule that you are learning just now, this is the opposite. The thumb now shows you the direction of the current, and the 4 fingers now show you the direction of the magnetic field. And this is used for current that is flowing within a straight wire. So make sure you know the differences between these two when you are using your right hand rule. Also, very important before we move on to the rest of this chapter, you need to know some of the notations that we use to indicate the direction of the field and the current. So as you can see in this diagram here, if you see an X, that means that is the direction that is going into the page. In this example, this will represent the current. The current is going into the page or into the slide. In other words, if this is the direction of the current is going into the page, okay? And this symbol here on the right, the one with the dot is the symbol for the direction of out of the page. So out of the page meaning it is going out from the page that you are looking at. So we use this notation to help us get the perspective in terms of the three-dimensional space, how these current look like. In this example, if the current is moving into the page, the magnetic field lines are clockwise. As you can see, the field lines have this sort of direction here. And if the current is moving out of the page, so you imagine it's moving out like that, then you have the magnetic field lines moving in the anti-clockwise direction. Okay, so make sure you understand what these two notation mean. If it's an X, that means it's moving into the page. If it's a dot, that means it's moving out of the page. And that's pretty much it for this video lesson. So this first part only serves as an introduction and help you to see that current, specifically charged particles, can produce magnetic fields, as you can see from the experiment that you saw in the video. You saw that if a wire has a current, the current in the wire produces a magnetic field around the wire. For your exam, you need to know what does the magnetic field look like. And if there is a current in a wire, the magnetic field will be produced in a radial pattern from the wire. And you can figure out the direction of this magnetic field by using your right hand grip rule, where the thumb shows you the direction of the current and the four fingers shows you the direction of the magnetic field. And then finally, make sure you know what these two symbols mean. So the X tells you that it is moving into the page. So it could be anything. It could be from magnetic field, force, current. If it's a symbol with an X, that means that field, that current, that force is moving into the page. If it's a dot, then that means either the force or the current or the magnetic field is moving out of the page. Okay, so these are symbols to show you the direction. In the next video lesson, we're going to look at electromagnets.